In this week's edition of Australian Immigration News, the 491 visa and remote working, New South Wales sponsors for the NIV visa, some IMI account headway for family visas, JSA regional skilled migration insights, TRA assessment guideline updates, and our media highlights of the week. I'm Karl Konrad, and this program is proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services, the company I founded over 26 years ago, right here in the heart of Sydney. We are still waiting for the breakdown of how the planning levels will be divided for state and territory-sponsored visas, as well as their subsequent sponsorship requirements. In the meantime, many states are releasing their sponsorship requirements for the National Innovation Visa. New South Wales is the latest to publish their requirements, and for all those high flyers out there, we will leave a link in the description of this video. The Immigration Department has expanded its online IMI account to now cover most family visas, but only partially. From Wednesday this week, you can create an IMI account and import the still archaic paper-based family visas. However, you still have to lodge these applications on paper and then import them. Come on, DOHA, are you still forcing us to go to the post office to send these applications? Couldn't you just do some more IT work so they can now be lodged online? I mean, I can understand this happy hi-fi smiling picture if they actually finished the whole job. But anyway, it is what it is. The full list of family visas that get this upgrade is on their website, and I'll leave a link. If you do import them to an IMI account, you will be able to attach additional documents to the application, view correspondence sent to applicants, update applicants' details, view the current status of their application, lodge a Bridging Visa B application, use an online form to withdraw your application. Hopefully, you will soon be able to lodge them online as well. Jobs and Skills Australia, JSA, recently published a webinar podcast on their insights into the Jobs and Skills Roadmap for Regional Australia. The Immigration Department is yet to release its regional migration strategy, but we are hoping there will be many more opportunities opening up for skilled migrants in regional Australia. Let's hear a segment of what they had to say.
And we know there's plenty of opportunity for jobs in regional Australia, and a whole lot of reasons why people should look to regional Australia for a job. It's easier to get. And skilled migration is part of the solution to this. And I think, Liz, I just about saw you say that. We've got to look at that for regional Australia, and I know the government will be considering its regional migration strategy. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, thanks, Barney. Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to how do we actually fill the jobs, there really is only three ways. And it is, attracting and retaining talent from the capital cities, or it is looking at migration as a really important lever. And we've had a really interesting time in this country since COVID and the last couple of years, and this idea that our migrant community are in some ways stealing our housing. It's a really interesting debate. And I think this has been, more acutely played out in capital cities, because when we look to regional Australia, most employers that we talk to or work with are crying out for these skills. And so we need to do much better at educating and raising awareness of the opportunities in regional Australia across our workforce.
It seems that regional Australia is yet to fully gain the benefits of a skilled migration workforce. Trades Recognition Australia, TRA, has recently updated its applicant guidelines to ensure that applicants and their authorised representatives protect personal information that is not required to complete a skill assessment. For example, Australian tax file numbers or bank account information. And advise applicants that this information must be deleted or not visible, i.e. covered, on documents before they are provided to the TRA. So the TRA has spat the dummy from information overload. It wasn't mentioning what happens if you do give them too much information. Do they just send the application back to you and say, start again. On Wednesday, the Reserve Bank of Australia released a report about international students and their beneficial effects on the Australian economy. These main highlights have been taken directly from the bank's article, and for a change, it's nice to see some positive highlights about international students. Education exports are currently Australia's fourth largest category of export, at approximately $50 billion in the 23-24 financial year. International students also contribute to the economy's supply potential because many will work while they are in Australia. The average weekly expenditure of international students as per BOP data suggests they spend twice as much as residents. Fees paid by international students have significant spillover benefits for university research, employment and capital expenditure. They constitute the second largest group of temporary visa holders with work rights in Australia after New Zealand citizens, making them a significant source of potential labour supply for the Australian economy. An increasing share of students are now working in healthcare, consistent with strong labour demands in this sector. This contribution was very important in helping businesses in these sectors facing labour shortages in the tight labour market that emerged post-pandemic. The rise in international student numbers is likely to have accounted for only a small share of the rise in rents since the onset of the pandemic, with much of the rise in advertised rents occurring before the borders were reopened. These findings are significant because the Reserve Bank of Australia is fully independent from the government or any other source. There are no comments from parties with a vested interest. You can read the full article yourselves in the link provided in the description. In another article this week titled "Begging for Migrants, Australia's Telling New Fertility Statistics," KPMG is said to have released a paper outlining our declining birth rates. The new findings raises concerns about Australia's labour force and economy. It was reported that the number of births nationally in 2024 reached 292,500. It is still a 3.8% drop from the 304,000 in 2019. The fertility rate, which is the average number of children over a woman's lifetime, sat at 1.51 in 2024, far below the 2.1 rate needed to sustain Australia's growth. In reality, without our migration numbers, our country's standards of living will be going backwards. And just over a year ago now, the federal government said it would allow New Zealanders and permanent residents to join the Australian Defence Force. Back then, it was cited by the Defence Minister as a bold move. Well, yesterday, the Australian newspaper reported on just how many have actually signed up. Wait for it, just 3. In a related issue of signing up to protect the community, in our comments section, Ashish writes in and asks, "I am in Australia and want to join the police, but they require Australian citizenship. Are they now recruiting police from other countries?" Well, Ashish, it seems there have been some relaxation of this rule in Victoria at least, where permanent residents can join the police, and even New Zealand citizens who are living here on temporary visas. A bold move indeed. During the week, I had a consultation that highlighted ongoing uncertainties about remote work and compliance with the condition on the 491 visa, particularly Condition 8579. As many of you know, Condition 8579 specifies if the visa is a subclass 491 Skilled Work Regional Provisional Visa, the holder, while in Australia, must live, work and study only in a part of Australia that was a designated regional area at the time the visa was granted. The concept of remote work aligning with Condition 8579 has been accepted for many years, including during the tenure of the previous 489 and 487 visas. However, this doesn't imply that you can engage in a hybrid work arrangement, such as working 4 days a week from home in a regional area and then commuting to Sydney to the office one day, for an example. Regarding brief visits to a non-regional areas for work, the department's policy generally has no issue with occasional travel, such as 1 day a month for training. If you are working remotely for an employer based in Melbourne, Sydney or Brisbane, it's advisable that the employment contract clearly state that the work setup is remote, including the specific regional address from which you are working from. If you are an independent contractor, you might operate as a sole trader in Australia, sending invoices to a company that pays into a bank account. Your sole trading details would be registered to your regional address. Later, when applying for permanent residency, you can provide evidence of invoices and bank statements to demonstrate transactions from international or non-DRA Australian companies. In some cases, letters from these companies outlining the work setup would be very helpful. Individual circumstances must be examined to determine the best evidence to provide in your PR application. Many 491 visa applicants outside of Australia who are waiting for their visas may request that their overseas employer permit them to work remotely from in Australia. They may also accept switching to a contractor arrangement where you issue them monthly invoices that are paid directly into an Australian bank account or possibly into an overseas account. For tax implications while residing in Australia and working remotely, seek advice from a qualified taxation accountant about declaring that income. As mentioned last week, the Immigration Department periodically sends out requests to monitor your location and employment. Responding to these requests usually involves providing evidence of your employment arrangements, such as details of your self-employment setup. Our PTE interview was rescheduled for next week with the changes ahead for the English test. Now Parliament is back in action, we do expect some news on migration changes ahead. Make sure you don't miss out on any by subscribing to the channel. As always, we are here to help. You can book a consultation online, but if you're in a hurry, just pick up the phone. Don't forget to hit that like icon to support the channel. As always, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.